Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and we have got a little bit of traction coming out about a data mine within the Raid community, and we've got a post about it here on Reddit that people are talking about in relation to some new shard or new way of acquiring champions, a new summoning event, and stuff like that. So I want to cover this for you here on the channel and give you my perspective on how believable it is or not and what it would mean for Raid and all that good stuff. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so first of all, when it comes to secret society, data mine, back alley type stuff, obviously the normal caveats apply. This is not something you can take to the bank or believe 100%. This is just trying to stay in the loop of things that may be coming down the road. And oftentimes it does end up having some validity to it. I remember when I first talked about hard dungeons being added to Raid Shadow Legends, a lot of people were like, no way, this is crazy. This is a stupid data mine. It's never gonna happen. I can't believe you would even cover this. And then fast forward 3 months and we had hard dungeons being added to Raid. So sometimes it does end up coming to fruition. So it's worth at least discussing and talking about what it could look like. Because also, we did have an interview recently that I covered here where Scratch interviewed Cirilla, who is a community manager there for Raid Shadow Legends, and they talked about how 10x events have kind of fallen by the wayside in terms of their effectiveness within the game because as Raid has doubled the amount of champions, I believe it's getting close to 800 champions now. And when Raid launched, I believe it had just under 400, maybe 340, 350, 360, something like that. But anyway, they have essentially doubled the amount of champions in game, and a lot of them are legendaries. I think the game released with like maybe 70 or 80 legendaries, and now I think it's pretty close to 160. So yeah, with doubling all of the champions in the pool, it doesn't really seem right to leave 10x's and the different summoning events completely untouched and not evolving with the ever-growing roster of Raid. But the actual discussion of what's going on here in relation to this topic is going to be some data mined info out there being posted on Reddit and shared about prism, crystal type of summoning shard type things in the game. And a new summoning event where during a summon pool event, you can summon from a unique pool of champions. Each event will have its own unique pool of champions that can be summoned. Champions of the same rarity have an equal chance of being summoned. Prism crystals are required to summon champions from the prism shard. When a summon pool event ends, any remaining prism crystals will be used automatically and summoned champions will be sent to your inbox. If you do not have enough prism crystals to summon a champion at the end of an event, you'll be able to use those remaining prism crystals in future summon pool events. So to me, the way this looks like it would function in game, if this does have any validity to it, would be a 10x instead of a 10x would be a pool of champions where if you pull a champion of that rarity, they would probably have a summoning event where it's like 8 epics and 8 legendaries or something like we see sometimes with the normal 10x's that we're all used to. But what would happen is if you get enough of the crystals that you need to participate in summoning for that, if you pull an epic, it's going to be guaranteed within that structure to be one of those 8 epics. And if you pull a legendary, it's going to be guaranteed to be one of those 8 legendaries. It's not going to be like it can be any legendary in the game. It just happens to have a 10x boosted chance of getting this specific legendary. It'll be more refined. So it'll be like a 1 in 4 or a 1 in 10 chance of getting a legendary instead of the current where every legendary is available in the game and your odds, instead of being 1 over 150 or whatever, 10 over 150. So this would be a way to pseudo bring something new to the game and have a different way of summoning champions where it would be a lot more reliable than a 10x where it's like 6 or 7%. If you want to summon a non-void legendary during a 10x, if you pull a legendary, it's like 6 or 7% to get that legendary. Well, in an event like this, they could do a summoning pool with like 5 different legendaries, and then all of a sudden you would be 20% instead of 6 or 7%. So it would be a way that Plarium could introduce a fun, interesting new mechanic where you actually have a higher chance of acquiring, and they could hopefully get more people hyped up about participating in them because 10x's are really falling off. But it looks like they are also making sure to have caveats in here where people can't save up for a super long time, which that makes me believe it's a little bit more realistic, because that is definitely something Plarium would probably try to address, because a lot of people, they really save up for like these guaranteed events, and then when those events happen, they can't get people as hyped up to like either spend or do something new because they've already been saving up for it. So if you notice, they have the caveat right here on the second half where it says when a summon pool event ends, any remaining crystals will be used automatically. So you're not going to be able to like save up a bunch where you could have enough to, do 2 or 3 legendary pulls within that pool. It's going to force you to spend them until you get down to where you don't have enough crystals to summon a champion. And then at the end, you would keep that little small remainder until the next event. And if you get enough to participate in the event, it would automatically spend them for you at the end of the event. So they've got a little bit of a system in place, at least how I'm understanding this like leak. They've got a system in place to prevent you from saving up super long term and being able to pull like 40 legendaries during a specific event where there is a champion that you really want to get like +4. They've got a Crisia in an event or something, and you're like, oh, I would love to get my hands on a +2 or 3 Crisia, and you want to slam all of your crystals into that event. It's not going to let you do that because it's going to make you spend them at the end of every event. And then some of the reactions here we've got, so essentially is reducing the pool of champions you can pull from during a specific event. Pretty smart idea considering 787 champions now. I wonder how big the pool will be. Yeah, exactly. We don't know. Like, we don't know if a pool is going to be, like I said, 3 champions or 20. And then that's going to change the odds of it, where it would be either 33% if it's 1 out of 3, or it would be 5% if it's 1 out of 20. So like how big these summoning events are and how many champions are in them is going to be a big determining factor as to how exciting of an addition to the game it's going to be. But how will people get the crystals, you think? I know one way that Plarium will want you to get the crystals. Yeah, I think we all know we will obviously be getting offers in the shop for these different like prism crystals and different ways to participate in this event to get these prism shards and stuff. I'm sure there will be different offers, and we'll have to be adding that to the offer calculator. As written, this doesn't sound great, to be honest. It sounds like summoning a champ from the pool will cost more than 1 crystal, and your crystals will be spent automatically at the end of the event, and you can only keep the remainder for the next event. Yeah, so like, I do agree that caveat is really unfortunate, because what if a summoning event comes out that you don't really want to participate in? It's going to automatically YOLO your crystals for you. That is kind of a bummer. I agree that I think it would be super hype if it didn't have that, because I like the mechanics where people can get rewarded for playing long term and being active and save up for the events they really want to prioritize. So I think it would be a huge bummer if it did release like that. 10x on crack. Shard's going to be expensive. Yeah. Sounds worse than a 10x. They can manipulate the pool, and they going to make it 85% trash in the pool, and it sounds like you're forced to summon in it no matter what. That's true. We don't know how the system works. Plarium could release a summoning pool with a bunch of legendaries no one wants, and then it forces them to pull any of the prisms they would have acquired during that recent time leading up to that, and that would be super unfortunate. So yeah, there is definitely some potential for this to be a huge bummer, but I think it could also be a good addition to the game if they actually do it right in a non-toxic way. It's basically the increase to 10x that people have been asking for in a slightly different package, new shards and resource. It's like all the other shards, save for what you need. And then this person says, yeah, except you can't save. Yeah, so there seems to be a little bit of a caveat where you can't really save, unfortunately. So yeah, all in all, I think this is realistic. It may not be 100% right. As always, like I said, with data mines, you got to be a little bit careful with stuff floating around out there and leaking. But I do think, given the context of what we heard from Sarilla talking to Scratch and how outdated 10x events are and how they've never really added a new shard mechanic to the game, they might be trying to spice things up here as Raid transitions into that next like long-term phase. They might want something that really hypes up and brings people back. I could see this having some validity to it, so I do think it's at least possible. And by the end of the year, I think we could see some sort of announcement like this. And I believe we did have Sarilla confirming to Scratch that there would be something huge coming before the end of the year, and this could be what she was talking about. But I think she said it was going to be PvE content. I think she said that we're going to get a huge PvE content before the end of the year. So I don't know that this would qualify as PvE content. I was thinking more along the lines of something like Doom Tower or Iron Twins or Faction Wars or something like that. But also, she could have meant the new dungeon where you can ascend your accessories, which we already have confirmed is coming to the game since the Scratch interview. So maybe that part's already done with, and this could be the other big thing that may be coming before the end of 2023. So if you enjoyed this video, it would mean a lot to earn your subscription down below today, but also let me know what you think in the comment section. Would you like something like this? Do you disagree with it? Do you think this is crazy? It would never happen? I always enjoy when you leave your perspectives down below as well. So I appreciate all of you. I will see you soon in the next video. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.